So here we are on the second floor of the mine, looking through the glass at our precious miners digging, and we're looking back, and there's a lot of rooms over here.
Let's take a look at one of them, and this is the one that I'm most surprised at. This is the kitchen of the mine.
These are our friends who are stationed there to help us guard our precious mines, and it's hard to imagine that in a big mine you can cook a meal like this.
It's hard to imagine that inside a big mine you can cook such a delicious meal.
Hello. I'll tell you more about this mine later.
Now let's go see what this Bitcoin mine looks like.
Thank you, Mr. Yu, for helping us communicate so much about the local mine. I'm surprised to learn that you're not just an accompanying translator, but you're also a multitasker.
I was told that you studied medicine in Russia?
Yes, that's right.
When I was in Russia, I completed my medical education here, a doctorate.
So you said you spent almost 10 years in Russia studying medicine and working as a translator.
And now you're working part-time as a BD for Micro.
Yes, it's really a multitasking job, a slash and burn talent, but later on, could you please give us a brief introduction to the mine? No problem. Sure, I'd be happy to. Let's go. Okay. There's a security procedure for entering the mine. Yes, for this security procedure, the corresponding person in charge and the corresponding switch are in our hands. Only our authorized personnel can open this door. In fact, before we entered this industrial park, it had already been open for a long time. In fact, even before we entered this industrial park, there was already a first level of security. That's right. All people entering this industrial park, including people and vehicles, must be under the supervision of the security guards.
Anyone who enters this industrial park, including people and vehicles, must report in advance. And when they leave, if they don't have a clear identity, they'll be searched accordingly. And if they're found to be carrying facilities inside, they may be subject to consent.
If they are found to be carrying some facilities inside, they may ask permission to go and take a look to make sure they don't take any property out of the country. And if they are in a car, they will also check the trunk. That's what we asked the industrial park to do, and they can't even enter the park without our approval and permission, except for our staff. Whoa! Let's take a look at the second line of defense. Yes.
That's what the plant manager said. That's the National Guard you hired.
If you're a visitor, you have to fill out some information. Yes, if you're a visitor, you have to fill out your cell phone number and passport information. We've just finished filling out all the paperwork, so we'll just walk right in. Yes, let's take a look again.
Let's take a look at the third door. Third door.
You can obviously hear the roar of the mines from here. Take a look to your left, and that would be our precious mine. Yeah, that's right. We can look around a little bit. You can see that it's one floor at a time, and then you get to the second floor here.
There's about 5 devices on each level.
5 or 6. There should be about 10 floors of miners on this side.
So it's convenient to know how many miners we have on this side of the plant.
How many miners do we have, and how much power does it have? Our overall site load is 18.5 megawatts, or 18,500 tons.
How many machines are here? Currently a little less than 6,000.
Around 6,000. Well, looking down the page, I don't think it's very hot at the moment, but I think it's quite cool here. May I ask what these facilities are for? The electrical equipment on the right. In Russian, it's called an outdoor box type transformer. It consists of a transformer body, a low voltage distribution cabinet, and a vacuum circuit breaker. Each transformer has a rated capacity of 1,000 kilovolt amperes. Currently, the capacity, based on the safe carrying capacity, is approximately, I can't hear you.
It's a little noisy over here. I'm afraid I can't hear you. Let's move on.
This whole brow should be our condensate wall, right? Yes, this is our important cooling facilities in the mine book called the drenches. The upper end of the curtain through the cooling water dripping downward through the suction of the fan. The air inside the humidity effectively leads to blow to the fan through this water curtain.
Can effectively reduce the temperature inside the plant at least 8 till 10 degrees in the summer. Even if it is the heat of summer, the words inside the plant is also very cool to ensure that we cause the heat dissipation effect is very good.
Our side is now very cool because of this drencher relationship. Later, we'll look at the exhaust area. Let's continue to go this way. There are also more than 10 floors of mines here, very spectacular. Did you say which model or brand of equipment we have here?
The models we have here are mainly Sleipnir, and the current main model is the M30S++, and so on. We're planning on replacing all of our appliances with the newest models.
Currently, it's an older model, but we'll be updating it later. Yes, we'll be updating it soon. The machines are basically very full,
so we don't see a lot of vacancies.
It's a little quieter here. This is our spare parts area, which will be used for storing some of the products we've been working on and some of the containers that we'll be using for the next phase of the plant. There are also some construction measures to upgrade and remodel the factory. Including what we see here, these are the fans. We need to ensure the cooling effect of the factory, so the factory has to be constantly upgraded, including the cables involved.
Since we attach great importance to the heat and security of the cables in our factory, we regularly arrange for our staff to measure the temperature of the cables with an infrared thermometer and the temperature of the cables.
In addition, if the cable is hot or the insulation is damaged, we'll replace it immediately. The cable should be replaced regularly to ensure safety and to avoid fire, because it's a very power-hungry item.
Are we replacing it or putting it on? We're getting ready to repair the machine. The machine will be hauled to the repair shop. Let's take a look. There's an on-floor repair shop here.
Let's take a look at this side. This is where you run the burner after repairing the machine, right? This is the machine that's being repaired. If it's run here, it'll go straight to the shelf, and then it'll be burned for a few hours after the repair, and then it'll go back to the shelf if it can. In fact, this side is all dismantled to repair the equipment around it, and the workers come and go here to do the repairs, which is hard work.
It's really hard for the maintenance workers to go upstairs. The last security is before we enter the office, and the kitchen, there's an additional security.
So there's a resident here? Yes, because to ensure the normal operation and maintenance of the plant and its stability, it's necessary to have a 24/7 resident here.
That's right, because to ensure proper operation and maintenance of the plant and its computing stability, you need to have a 24/7 on-site presence.
That's why we've set up a 2x2+2 security system, which means that in the back of the building, we have our on-duty employee, and today he's on duty, which means that in the factory, he's on duty.
In other words, in the factory, the so-called electricians and networkers are on site 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We have 2-3 people on duty per shift to make sure there are at least 2-3 people in the factory. But the environment here is relatively comfortable. We've just seen the kitchen. It can even cook food, and it's not too stuffy.
So if the salary is good, it's a good place to work. Yes, for us, the top one is our office area, the opposite side is the restroom, and this one is the kitchen. The last two rooms are the duty room where the reserve staff will be. Let's take a look through the glass.
We can also see our miners working diligently for us, mining bitcoins for us.
So we're curious to know how many plants like this one in Russia have been built.
So we're curious to know if there are factories like this all over Russia, and how many of them are there, and can you share with us a little bit about that?
We have 7 sites in Russia, 1 in Ekaterinburg, the rest in Irkutsk, Krasnoyarsk, and Kazan, and the remaining 6 sites in Ekaterinburg.
In the Ekaterinburg Ural region, for example, we focus on thermal power. The advantage of thermal power is that it's very stable throughout the year, and in Irkutsk, Krasnoyarsk, in Irkutsk and Krasnoyarsk, the main source of electricity is hydroelectricity.
The total installed capacity of these 2 substations determines the amount of electricity that can be generated even during the dry season, so it's possible to ensure both the low cost of electricity and the availability of power locally.
I know that Micro is also selling the so-called power strip, which I learned about 2 days ago when I visited your store.
In other words, the customer can not only take the miner home, he can also put it in your mine to do the so-called hosting. Actually, we are all very curious about how much is the electricity cost for such a hosting, and what are the other costs for this.
Here, the price for power consumption is 5.8 cents, which is very low.
Yes, you could say that what we're offering our customers is not only a competitive rate, but also the infrastructure that we've put in place at our site to ensure that our customers are able to purchase electricity at a competitive rate. This ensures that once a customer purchases a product that is similar to a quoted product, he can be assured that once he purchases the equipment, it will be delivered to the local area.
Once the machine is shipped to the location, he can continue to maximize his income in a stable manner without having to worry about anything else. Do you charge any other so-called maintenance fee, management fee, cable damage fee, etc.? No, we just charge a single fee according to the price we just mentioned. The rest of the costs are included in our service fee. We have just seen the curtain into the air, it is in there. Then we look at the other side of how to exhaust the heat generated by the miner. We are now on this side of the fan. If we are in the current situation, probably a little farther away from about 48 degrees. Yes, if a little bit closer. If we get any closer, it could be 50 degrees plus. The closer we get, the hotter it gets. It feels like we're doing a triple warmer. It's all their exhaust facilities. At the end of the road, we'll be back at our doorstep. I'm curious. Russia is a big energy country. Is electricity so cheap even for residential use? Or is it only for industrial use like this industrial park that it's so cheap? I can say a few words about Russia.
Russia is an energy giant. In Russia, as an energy giant, there are 2 types of tariffs: residential, agricultural, and industrial.
In our country, as in other countries, residential tariffs are the cheapest. For agriculture, there's a special subsidy, and it's a bit cheaper, but for industry, it's a bit more expensive.
But as long as we choose the right place, and with the right coordination, we can achieve a lower level of industrial electricity.
The most important thing is that every kilowatt hour we use here is paid for and sold legally.
Legal means it's not stolen. Exactly. And as I recall, all of Micro's miners were whitelisted, right?
That's right. Because of our place, they're saying.
Our current legal and compliant electricity consumption is supported by a series of equipment which must be operated through proper customs clearance and full tax payment.
Therefore, our micro miners are all hosted in a place where they have gone through formal customs procedures and paid full customs duty in a reasonable and legal manner, which guarantees that when we arrive at this site,
It's very reassuring that we don't have to worry about anything from the electricity to the machines to the workers and all of that.
Right, because I did hear that there were people who were concerned that the Russian mining machines were being seized.
or that the government or the mafia would come in and try to extract all sorts of money from them. And you haven't had any of that in the 3 years that you've been operating here so far, have you?
We've been in operation for about 3 years, and we haven't encountered such a situation. I attribute it to 4 things. First, we have a good relationship with the local government.
The government officials in Lower Tagil have a very good personal relationship with our venue's resources. Therefore, we will communicate with them as often as we can within the bounds of reason and law.
Secondly, the power and equipment we use in this place, as I mentioned earlier, are all legal, and our current procedures are always ready for inspection by the appropriate authorities when such an inspection occurs.
We can always provide them for inspection.
Moreover, when we operate in this industrial park, our power supply is redundant and will not affect the normal power supply to the local residents.
At the beginning of the operation of this site, all of our construction and the purchase of transformers are operated by the equipment itself, that is to say, from the beginning to the end, from the foundation to the machinery to the electricity, it's all legal. That's why, in the 3 years of operation, thank God, we've never encountered such a situation, and I'm sure it won't happen in the future. Thank you, Mr. Yu, for your excellent explanation today.
If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We'll talk to our community.
I'll organize these questions for the micro community so they can refer to them. That's basically it for today's interview. We'll organize a complete plan for the community later.
Спасибо большое. Добро пожаловать в Россию, в Екатеринбург.
What do you mean? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Russia. Welcome to Ekaterinburg. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.